Only in the darkness can we see the stars. It's one of my favorite quotes by Martin Luther King Jr. My name's Tricia Sulpizio, and I'm your host for another episode of Tea and Bedtime Stories. It's a podcast for anyone who likes books. In this episode, we'll continue reading A Farewell to Arms. It's a novel by Ernest Hemingway, published in 1929. Last time we read Chapter 10 in Book 1, and now I'll continue the story with Chapter 11. After the reading, I'll follow up with a few quick facts and my impressions. So let's begin with Book 1, Chapter 11. It was dusk when the priest came. They had brought the soup and afterward taken away the bowls, and I was lying looking at the rows of beds and out the window at the treetop that moved a little in the evening breeze. The breeze came in through the window, and it was cooler with the evening. The flies were on the ceiling now and on the electric light bulbs that hung on wires. The lights were only turned on when someone was brought in at night or when something was done. It made me feel very young to have the dark come after the dusk and then remain. It was like being put to bed after early supper. The orderly came down between the beds and stopped. Someone was with him. It was the priest. He stood there small, brown-faced and embarrassed. "How do you do?" he asked. He put some packages down by the bed on the floor. "All right, Father." He sat down in the chair that had been brought for Rinaldi and looked out of the window embarrassedly. I noticed his face looked very tired. "I can only stay a minute," he said. "It is late." "It's not late. How is the mess?" He smiled. "I am still a great joke." He sounded tired, too. "Thank God they are all well." "I am so glad you're all right," he said. "I hope you don't suffer." He seemed very tired, and I was not used to seeing him tired. Not anymore. "I miss you at the mess." "I wish I was there. I always enjoyed our talking." "I brought you a few little things," he said. He picked up the packages. "This is mosquito netting. This is a bottle of vermouth. You like vermouth? These are English papers. Please open them." He was pleased and undid them. I held the mosquito netting in my hands. The vermouth he held up for me to see, and then put it on the floor beside the bed. I held up one of the sheaf of English papers. I could read the headlines by turning it so the half light from the window was on it. It was the news of the world. "The others are illustrated," he said. "It will be a great happiness to read them. Where did you get them?" "I sent for them to Mestre." "I will have more." "You are very good to come, Father. Will you drink a glass of vermouth?" "Thank you. You keep it. It's for you." "No, drink a glass." "All right. I will bring you more then." The orderly brought the glasses and opened the bottle. He broke off the cork, and the end had to be shoved down in the bottle. I could see the priest was disappointed, but he said, "That's all right. It's no matter." "Here's to your health, Father." "To your better health." Afterward, he held the glass in his hand, and we looked at one another. Sometimes we talked and were good friends, but tonight it was difficult. "What's the matter, Father? You seem very tired." "I am tired, but I have no right to be. It's the heat." "No, it's only the spring. I feel very low." "You have the war disgust." "No, but I hate this war." "I don't enjoy it," I said. He shook his head and looked out of the window. "You do not mind it. You do not see it. You must forgive me. I know you are wounded." "That is an accident. Still, even wounded, you do not see it, I can tell." "I do not see it myself, but I feel it a little. When I was wounded, we were talking about it. Bassini was talking." The priest put down the glass. He was thinking about something else. "I know them because I am like they are," he said. "You are different, though." "But really I am like they are. The officers don't see anything." "Some of them do. Some are very delicate and feel worse than any of us. They are mostly different. It is not education or money. It is something else. Even if they had education or money, men like Bassini would not wish to be officers. I would not be an officer." "You rank as an officer. I am an officer." I'm not really. You're not even Italian. You're a foreigner. But you are nearer the officers than you are with the men. What's the difference? I cannot say it easily. There are people who would make war. In this country, there are many like that. There are other people who would not make war. But the first ones make them do it. Yes, and I help them. You are a foreigner. You're a patriot. And one who would not make war? And the ones who would not make war, can they stop it? I do not know. He looked out of the window again. I watched his face. Have they ever been able to stop it? They are not organized to stop things, and when they get organized, their leaders sell them out. Then it's hopeless? It's never hopeless, but sometimes I cannot hope. I try always to hope, but sometimes I cannot. Maybe the war will be over. I hope so. What will you do then? If it is possible, I will return to Abruzzi. His brown face was suddenly very happy. You love the Abruzzi. Yes, I love it very much. You ought to go there then. I would be happy to if I could live there and love God and serve Him. And be respected, I said. Yes, and be respected. Why not? No reason not. You should be respected. It does not matter. But there in my country, it is understood that a man may love God. It is not a dirty joke. I understand. He looked at me and smiled. You understand, but you do not love God. No. You do not love Him at all? He asked. I'm afraid of Him in the night sometimes. You should love Him. I don't love much. Yes, he said, you do. What you tell me about in the nights, that is not love. That is only passion and lust. When you love, you wish to do things for. You wish to sacrifice for. You wish to serve. I don't love. You will. I know you will. Then you will be happy. I'm happy. I've always been happy. It is another thing. You cannot know about it unless you have it. Well, I said, if I ever get it, I'll tell you. I stayed too long and talked too much. He was worried that he really did. No, don't go. How about loving women? If I really loved some woman, would it be like that? I don't know about that. I've never loved any woman. What about your mother? Yes, I must have loved my mother. Did you always love God? Ever since I was a little boy. Well, I said I did not know what to say. You're a fine boy, I said. I am a boy, he said, but you call me father. That's politeness, he smiled. I must go, really, he said. You do not want me for anything? He asked hopefully. No, just to talk. I will take your greetings to the mess. Thank you for the many fine presents. Nothing. Come and see me again. Yes, goodbye, and he patted my hand. So long, I said in dialect. Ciao, he repeated. It was dark in the room, and the orderly who had sat by the foot of the bed got up, went out with him. I liked him very much, and I hoped he would get back to the Abruzzi sometime. He had a rotten life in the mess, and he was fine about it, but I thought how he would be in his own country. At Capricotta, he had told me, there were trout in the streams below the town. It was forbidden to play the flute at night. When the young men serenaded, only the flute was forbidden. Why, I asked. Because it was bad for the girls to hear the flute at night. The peasants all called you Don, and when you met them, they took off their hats. His father hunted every day and stopped to eat at the houses of peasants. They were always honored. For a foreigner to hunt, he must present a certificate that he had never been arrested. There were bears on the Gran Sasso d'Italia, but it was a long way. Aquila was a fine town. It was cold in the summer at night, and the spring in Abruzzi was the most beautiful in Italy. But what was lovely was the fall, to go hunting through the chestnut woods. The birds were all good because they fed on grapes, and you never took a lunch because the peasants were always honored if you would eat with them at their houses. After a while, I went to sleep. that concludes chapter 11 of book 1. So now for some quick facts. Vermouth, the drink that he brought him, it's a white wine. It's fortified with herbs to make it an aperitif. In my experience, I used to be a bartender, but it's most commonly used in cocktails like martinis. Some people drink it by itself, but it's definitely an acquired taste. But an aperitif, unlike a digestif, right? The digestif is used to help you digest a meal, but an aperitif is used to stimulate your appetite before a meal. That's often why there's like a cocktail hour before a wedding, if it's a sit-down dinner, because the cocktail hour is supposed to be, you're supposed to consume aperitifs. Anyway, if all that makes sense. The News of the World, the magazines that he brought, was a British tabloid newspaper, first established in 1843. That's a long run. It was bought by Rupert Murdoch, our hero, in 1978, and then he ran into the ground by 2011. It was obviously taken over, and there's no shortage of tabloid newspapers. But yeah, that's what the News of the World is. Mestre is a town in northeast Italy, northwest of Venice. When he talked about the Gran Sasso d'Italia, it translates to the Great Stone of Italy. It's in the Apennines Mountains. Sits the Gran Sasso National Park. It's kind of a natural bridge, I guess, to central Italy, and it spans the regions of Abruzzo, Lazio, and Le Marche. It is a nature reserve, ironically, and they protect more than 1/5 of all of European flora. So 1/5 of all the European native flowers are protected in this natural reserve, which is kind of cool. It sounds beautiful. And Aquila is a town in the Abruzzi region of Italy as well. Okay, so my impressions of this chapter, I guess I have to go back to World News, or the News of the World newspaper. And I have to say that if you buy tabloid newspapers, you're promoting evil incarnate and should probably stop as soon as possible. It's of course your decision, but you should know that sensationalism, while it can heighten our sensory response, it dulls our sensibilities, and it actually stifles our discernment and our critical thinking capabilities. So if all we're doing is seeking entertainment and for sensation, we're actually losing our ability to think when we do that, which is really sad. And eventually, if we continue to consume that kind of entertainment, it cripples our emotional intelligence. So if you know someone who faithfully reads or follows tabloid gossip or tabloid shows, or in America, we've made dating a sport now. It's Love Island and nonsense. If you know anyone who follows that crap religiously, and I've been guilty myself, so no shame, but I had to stop because I understood that it was not edifying in any way, and that if I hope to contribute to important discussions, and I continued to feed my mind with that kind of garbage, I knew I would have nothing to offer in exchange. So that's my little breach for the day. Lieutenant Henry, right, the character of the story, appears to be completely void of any deep feelings about anything. He doesn't even seem like he's in pain from his injury, and he said his knee was gone. That is crazy to me. He is so emotionally detached. Or apparently, maybe there's some, they say still waters run deep. I'm hoping that's the case. But it kind of saddened me. I mean, the claim that he's never experienced love, only fear up to this point in life, I think partially explains his motivation for joining the war. As humans, we tend to feel most comfortable with things that feel familiar. Whether they're good or bad, it's whatever is most familiar often feels the most comfortable. And I learned from studying a little bit of psychology and sociology that we often formulate our images of God from our earliest memories of authority figures. That's why our view of deity is often disfigured. But we also know from studying Hemingway's early life that he wasn't very close to his mother, and she was the breadwinner, meaning she was the authority figure in their family. Her children all describe her as a bitch, pardon my language, but that's how they talk about her. They say she was cold, uncaring, and completely selfish. And for children, those types of caregivers are unpredictable and intimidating. So maybe that's what he was running from back home, and ironically running towards when he joined the war. From the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. And I may be projecting, but that's what my experience has taught me. I did the same thing repeatedly until I finally learned to self-reflect and then break the stronghold of dysfunction over my life. I would fight my way out of some stupid relationship just to find myself a time later in an even crappier relationship. And the adage is so true that until you learn to love yourself, you can't really ever learn to love anyone else. So, I don't know, my hope for this lieutenant is that through his darkness, he'll learn to see the stars. But that's all of my impressions for Chapter 11. In the next episode, we'll conclude Book 1 with the reading of Chapter 12 of A Farewell to Arms. I plan to take a short break and regroup before I start Book 2. I plan to switch up the format a little bit, and I'm just still trying to figure out which style is most effective and what you as audience members might prefer. So I want to experiment a little, if you don't mind, and I just want this to be edifying for everyone involved. So I really want to encourage you to find me on Facebook, send me a message with your comments, feedback, any suggestions that you might have, and if you include your contact information, I'll even send you a little thank you card and a small gift as a token of my appreciation for your time and attention. I don't want anything for this podcast. It's really just a learning experience for me, but I also want it to be really good for you. So please join me again when we resume Tea and Bedtime Stories for Book 2. I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for listening.